going on, sports fans? It's your boy Brandon B coming at you with another episode of That Sports Podcast. So before I get into the podcast episode, I wanted to talk a little bit about Monday Night Football for a second because I got a little story to tell. Put some money on the game, and this is the first time I've ever really gambled. The most I've ever done is buy some scratchers or, some lottery tickets, and that's about it. So I decided, I kind of wanted to try it, see what it's all about. So I went to FanDuel, registered. They had like a little promotion. They stake you $200. I think you deposit $5 and they stake you $200, and then you bet it all. You bet that money and stuff like that. And like I said, they stake you to $200. Ultimately, I ended up going through and had this parlay thing going on, and I figured the Giants were going to lose, so I bet against them. Bet the Seahawks were going to win and all that good stuff. Had a parlay, and I'm watching the game, and then Geno Smith fucking gets hurt. Part of the parlay was that he gets over 225 yards passing, and he got hurt. Parlay shot the shit. Could have won over $900. Anyway, moving on to the podcast. Week 4 wrapped up on Monday with the Giants versus the Seahawks. Like I said, I figured they were going to lose, so I bet against them. And sure enough, the Giants did lose. It was a very in and out game for the Seahawks. Didn't look like they had too much trouble beating the Giants. There was that scare with Geno Smith getting a little banged up there in the first half. But overall, the Seahawks prevailed. And that wrapped up Week 4 NFL. So let's go over here and look at the Giants. I wanted to talk about the Giants a little bit because I am a Giants fan, and clearly they are struggling. I know people last season, like I will say, they're 9-7 and went to the playoffs. Yeah, that's barely an accomplishment. They are struggling woefully. Currently, they are 1-3, last in the NFC East, ranked 30 in the NFL. Only 2 teams that are worse are the Panthers and the Bears. Daniel Jones is ranked 24th in the NFL, and to put that in perspective, Sam Howell, Tua Tagovailoa, and Brock Purdy are all playing better statistically than Daniel Jones. Through 4 games, the Giants have forced 46 points while allowing 122. Jones has thrown for 6 interceptions on 2 touchdowns. Stagnant offense. The only thing the Giants got going for them is the fact that the defense plays well enough that if the offense actually did something, they could win, potentially. Who knows what's going to happen? I was actually talking to a buddy of mine about Daniel Jones and how we were shocked that he got that big contract extension. We were also talking about, potential trades that could happen with other quarterbacks. And one of the more interesting subject matters was Justin Fields and where he could potentially go. And the guys started floating around the idea that Justin Fields could go to the Titans. And, I looked into it, and that could make sense for them. The Titans have 2 backup quarterbacks that are young. I believe they're one is a rookie and one has been in the league for a year. And I think that trade would make sense for the Titans. It's not like Justin Fields is a scrub. I just think he needs a fresh start, and I think the Bears need a fresh start. So that trade makes sense to me. But that's not for us to decide. So let's go on ahead and move on along to the Week 4 recap. So the winners and losers of Week 4. Let's look at your winners. We had the Eagles, the Ravens, the Seahawks, the Lions, the Buccaneers, the Chiefs, the Texans, the Bills, the Bengals, the 49ers, the Chargers, the Cowboys, the Vikings, the Broncos, the Jags, and the Rams. It's good to see the Broncos rebound after that butt whooping they took, because I don't know if they would have been able to string a lot of wins together after taking that butt whipping and then taking another butt whipping. You know what I mean? The morale got to be down after that. So that was a good rebound game for them. Let's look at it on your losers. We had the Giants, of course. Patriots, Colts, Falcons, Bears. Oh, because they won Thursday night. We'll get into that in just a second. That's why I was confused. I stopped for a second. I was like, the Bears, didn't they just win? Yeah, that's because Thursday night, Week 5. We'll get into that in a second. Saints, Packers, Raiders, Browns, Steelers, Cards, Jets, Panthers, Commanders, Titans, and the Dolphins. All your losers for Week 4. Your top quarterback for Week 4 was Justin Fields with 28 completions, 335 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, 4 sacks, and 1 fumble. Derrick Henry was your leading running back with 22 carries, 102 yards, 5.5 yards average, 1 touchdown, 22 yards. 29 yards was his longest. I don't even know where I got 22. I'm clearly looking at 29 and said 22 for some reason. I have no idea. Best wide receiver for this week was A.J. Brown. He had 9 receptions, 175 yards, 19.4 yards in average, 2 touchdowns, and his longest catch was for 59 yards. Your top tackler this week was Quay Walker, 10 solo tackles, 9 assists, 19 total tackles, and those are your top performers of week 4. Moving right along to Thursday Night Football, which was last night. Excuse me, had to clear my throat. I'm just kidding, y'all. Anyway. Thursday Night Football last night. I did watch that game. I was playing some Call of Duty while I was doing it, and let's just say the Bears did not have a hard time winning that game. They went in and did their thing against the Commanders. The Commanders are always going to be the Commanders. I mean, for years, they've always just been around, and I'm not really going to make a big stink about them losing last night, But I do think that, the Bears really got to do something. I think, they've been really stagnant over the last few years. And when I say stagnant, I mean, I just have zero expectations out of them. Now, I'm not a Bears fan, so I'm not keeping up with them and everything. So in the last 10 years, they might have gone to the playoffs, but, they might have flirted with going to the playoffs. I don't know. But my point is that they really need to do something. And, I think right now, this is the time where they could probably explore some trade options for Justin Fields and move on from the guy, let him get his fresh start, and then the Bears start with somebody else, Like I was mentioning earlier, my buddy and I, we were talking about that, and, I think it'd be a good trade for him to go to the Titans because, the Titans have a relatively good football team. I think he'd be good out there with Derrick Henry and those guys and stuff like that. They have a good defense. And I think it would be the fresh start the Titans need to get over the hump. And, maybe one of those young quarterbacks can come over to the Bears and, make something happen. Who knows? But let's get into those Week 5 matchups. Well, the rest of them, rather, because Thursday night wrapped up with the Bears. Thursday night kicked off the Week 5, so we have the Bears versus the Commanders. So let's talk about the Sunday games. The Jags and the Bills are the first game up, and they are over in London. Every time I think of the teams playing over in London, I think of Joey Tribbiani when they went to London for Ross's wedding. He's like, London, baby! I miss Friends. That was such a great TV show. The next matchup we have after that is the Saints and the Patriots. I think I'm going to go with the Patriots on that one. Saints might win it, but the Patriots just coming off of a loss against the Cowboys. I think Belichick's really going to have his boys fired up to get a win this week. So I'm going to go with the Patriots. Titans and Colts. I'm taking the Titans. Don't really have any faith in the Colts. I'm not going to talk too much about that. Ravens and Steelers. Oof, this is going to be a good one. I think the Ravens are going to take it. Not too sold on the Steelers this season. Panthers and Lions. Let's see here. Lions, obviously. Texans, Falcons. That's going to be a toss-up. I don't know who I want to pick in that one. Falcons, maybe? Yeah, let's ride with the Falcons. The Giants and the Dolphins. You guys already know I'm riding with the Dolphins on that one. As much as I love my Giants, I'm sorry to say it, I got to ride with the Dolphins on that one. They're looking significantly better than the Giants, and even though they did lose this past week against the Bills, the Dolphins are still a better team right now than the Giants, and I just don't see the Giants winning this game at all. Let's look at the Bengals and the Cardinals. I like the Bengals in this one. Eagles and Rams. I think I'm taking the Eagles in this one. Jets, Broncos. I'm going with the Broncos. I mean, not the Broncos. I think I'm going with the Jets. I don't know why I was leaning towards the Broncos for a second, but I think I'm going with the Jets. Then the last matchup before the Sunday night game will be the Chiefs and the Vikings. I think the Chiefs are going to win that one. They might be looking to get into their groove and, start moving forward with the wins. We'll see. Sunday night, we have the Cowboys versus the 49ers. I think the Cowboys are going to win as much as I hate the Cowboys. I think they're a better team on paper than the 49ers, and I just have a feeling that they're going to beat the 49ers tonight. I mean, I would like it if the 49ers surprised me and beat the Cowboys, because I just like seeing the Cowboys lose, but we'll see. And that wraps up the Sunday games. For your bye week, you have the Chargers, the Seahawks, the Browns, and the Buccaneers. Those are your teams on the bye week, and then we have Monday Night Football, Packers versus Raiders. That's going to be a tough pick. That's a tough call. I mean, I don't want to say the Raiders are just a terrible team, but they are working through something right now. So I think I'm going to lean with Green. I think I'm going to ride with Green Bay on that one. Monday night game, yeah. I think I'm going to ride with Green Bay on that one. But that wraps up our NFL talk for this week. Let's move on to the next topic. On to the NBA, shall we? Let's talk about Jimmy Butler's New York. Oh man, I'm not one to judge people on their outward appearance, right? But that man is wilding right now. This dude pulled a full-on MGK if I have ever seen it. He went from, one version of himself where he's like, the basketball player. Now he's the emo guy. All right, I'm done with that. Anyway. No, I'm kidding. One more. It's like he found out Dame is going to the Bucks, and then he got really in his feelings, like super in his feelings. All right, now I'm done. All right. So let's talk about some basketball. I don't know how I missed Chris Paul going to the Warriors, but I wanted to take a second and talk about that because apparently, they've been saying he's kind of like an asshole and stuff like that, and he's a good fit for a team, and this, that, and the third. I mean, there's everything coming out of the Warriors camp is positive about Chris Paul being there, which is expected because Chris Paul is a veteran, he's a professional, and he's a guy that is about business, and his business is basketball. So it's going to be great to see him playing out with the Warriors. I really do hope he gets a ring with them because if anybody deserves a ring, it's Chris Paul. I was mad back in the day when the league vetoed the trade for Chris Paul to join Kobe out there in LA. They said it wasn't competitive or whatever BS. And then all these years later, they let LeBron and all these other guys team up and all these super teams form and stuff. It's just crazy to me how they went back on that so quickly, Anyway, speaking of trades, James Harden is demanding a trade. He wants out of the 76ers, and quite frankly, I'm a little tired of James Harden and the NBA and overall. I mean, it's gotten to the point where these days I feel like guys don't want to compete. They just want to go join forces with their buddies and that's it. I mean, James Harden was the one who wanted to go to the Nets. Then he wanted out of the Nets. Now he wants out of Philly. And I understand that the NBA is a business, and I understand that the 76ers have every right to go out and, shop trade deals for him and stuff like that. But at the same time, I feel like sometimes these guys just need to let their contracts run out. I understand that winning a championship, there's a time frame. I understand that there's limited time. Right? I understand that. But how are you supposed to build chemistry and camaraderie if all you're doing is jumping from team to team, shipping people in and out, right? It's hard to build cohesion when all the parts are constantly moving, constantly rotating. All the chemistry and stuff that they built in Philly, that's going out the window as soon as James Harden leaves. And I understand that people might not think about that as a big thing, but it is a big thing. Because it changes up the rotation. It changes up the times that guys play. It changes up the amount of practice time that other guys get. You get what I'm saying? So it disrupts the flow of the team. And I understand that we're still in preseason. We still got a couple weeks left before the actual tip-off of the season. But how much of a distraction is this trade going to be for the 76ers? Joel Embiid already said that it's not. Well, let's look at the facts here. Joel Embiid already agreed to play for the Olympic team in 2024 and stuff like that. We've got all that news, and, James Harden wants out of the trade. So we've already got that little bit of a circus media going on. So how much more is it going to be before something actually starts to happen in Philly one way or the other, positive or negative? What happens if the season starts falling apart? James Harden just doesn't play that well. Joel Embiid gets hurt. Now the news is, oh, Joel Embiid's hurt. Now he might not be able to play for this and this, that, and the third. And now all you have this certain, you get what I mean? It's just unnecessary headlines being propagated. And this is why I've as much as I love pro basketball, it's getting on my nerves to deal with, to watch and talk about, because these headlines are always in the forefront. It's never just about basketball. There's always somebody wanting out of their contract. There's always somebody wanting out of this deal, this, that, and the third. But that leads me to my next point. I saw a post where Jabari Parker was talking about why he left the NBA. Now, Jabari Parker played on 6 professional teams through 11 seasons in the NBA. He's 28 years old. He signed with, I believe, Barca or Real Madrid. One of those 2 pro basketball teams is Barca. That's what it is. And he's playing for one of those 2 basketball teams over in the Euro Leagues and stuff. And basically, what he was saying is that a lot of pro players are leaving the NBA, or pro players do leave the NBA because over in Europe, they seem to have a better system. Now, I can't say I will be the first one to agree. I agree with this. I agree that overseas, they do sports better than we do sports here in America. And the reason they do it better is because here in America, we have college sports. And the only reason we have college sports is because it makes money. It's a revenue generator. Over in Europe, they don't have college sports at the level that we do. They may have like college teams, but they're not at the same level that our college teams are, if that makes sense. They actually have different pro leagues. And I'll use soccer for an example. Soccer has England, the Premier League, and then you have the 3 leagues below it. So let's say I'm Arsenal, and we're scouting, and we find some 16-year-old kid who's a phenom, right? I may sign that kid to a contract and then turn around and loan him out to a team in a lower division because I want him to get experience. I want him to develop. Whereas in the NBA, that doesn't happen. Whereas in America, that doesn't happen. You look at the NBA and the structure, you play in primary school, grade school, all the way up to high school, then you go to college. There is no league, there is no semi-pro league or league in between. And I understand the NBA G League and all of that stuff, blah, 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 blah. I don't know how all of that works. But I assume that the majority of people who play basketball or are going to play basketball professionally on some level have to go through college to do it. Even if they are getting picked up by the G League, I feel like most people are still playing in college. The majority of those players are coming out of college to play, or coming from overseas, drafted from overseas to play in G League teams to see if they can move up to the NBA, to the big leagues. Baseball has the AAA minor leagues divisions and stuff like that, but college sports takes up a lot of that space in between, that developmental time. And I'm a proponent of getting rid of college sports as we know it today. I'm not saying that we should get rid of college sports and do away. I'm saying get rid of college sports as in make it just a semi-professional league. Compensate the athletes, and now it's a semi-professional or professional league. Just build it out just like you would the Premier League or any of the European pro football clubs out there. Stop making people go to college before they can start their career as a pro athlete. There are 16, 17-year-old kids, 15, 16, 17-year-old kids that are getting signed by pro clubs to play for their developmental teams and their youth leagues and stuff like that, and then they bring them up. This is why you look at their over in Europe, especially with Jabari Parker. In Jabari Parker's case, he's talking about. He says it. This is why you'll have a good team of solid veterans. Whereas over in the NBA, you'll have a team that can have like 2 or 3 veterans and a bunch of rookies. Now, that's not to say that those rookies aren't high caliber talent, but they are still rookies. They don't have the same experience as a guy who's been in the league 10 years. When you start in the league your first day, right, there are things that you don't know. I don't care how good of a basketball player you are. Once you enter in the NBA, there are things that you don't know. This is why players develop and get better, because they incorporate little things into their game. It's like if Kobe Bryant didn't learn to incorporate new things into his game and work as hard as he did, he would never have been the phenomenal athlete that he was. Same with Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Adekempo, Dame Lillard. I mean, all of the top athletes, the phenomenal athletes out there, they are doing things to work their game, rework their game, and stuff like that. Because as you get older, especially for people like LeBron, like, their bodies aren't able to. I'm not saying that his body isn't able to withstand a full season, right? But as you get older, you're just not able to do things the same way you used to. So you have to become crafty, right? Maybe LeBron's not dunking nearly as much as he used to. He's hitting them layups or hitting them jump shots or passing the ball off a little bit. There's little things that these guys do to change their game, especially as they start to age. But those things don't take away from the player's greatness. It's just like Dwight Howard isn't playing right now. Do I think that Dwight Howard's a scrub? No. I just think that Dwight Howard's gotten a little long in the tooth, and he's now a role player. Do I think that he could make a good career over in Europe and stuff like that? Yeah. He could have a decent. He could enjoy his twilight years playing in the European leagues. Another point that he made was that, older guys are getting pushed out a lot sooner, and I agree with that too. It's like a lot of these pro athletes are getting pushed out a lot sooner than they would have back a few years ago, 10, 20 years ago, and stuff like that, simply because it's a young man's game. It's not really a young man's game, though. Like, if these guys are still able to go out here and compete at a high level, it's like, I don't believe that LeBron James is the only guy who can go out here and compete at a high level at his age. There are probably other guys. They just never got the right shape. They never got the right opportunity, because everybody wants that potential new superstar. They don't want some old, used-up veteran. They want a potential new superstar. The guy who's going to bring them tons of money. But again, over in Europe, you'll see teams with guys like Messi. Messi played European soccer for a long time, and that dude is well into getting close. I know he's well into his 30s, getting into 40. And soccer, there's considerably more running in soccer than there is in basketball. You're talking about an entire soccer field versus a basketball court. So at the end of the day, I agree with Jabari Parker. I mean, I believe that, the NBA has been watered down to the point where they're only looking to make money. It's not about building teams, developing teams and stuff like that, and putting together cohesion and chemistry. That's why you don't see guys with long tenures. That's why guys get shipped out and moved around a lot and stuff. And Jabari Parker even said it. He was like, the league is about good superstars and bad players, because 10 to 12 teams got superstars and are trying to win every game, and then you got the other teams that are just trying to get lottery picks. Where do the good players go? They go to Europe, apparently. That concludes my episode for this week. We got some UFC fights going on this weekend. I believe Friday we got the UFC fight. It was yesterday when this podcast aired, so that's yesterday. Bobby Green. I mentioned that in the previous podcast. If you're gonna watch that, check that out tonight. It's on ESPN. I mean, watch it. If you watched it, it was probably good. I don't even know how to do these. Like, how do you record that? The UFC fight is on Friday. I'm recording on Friday. I'm gonna air the episode on Saturday. I sound stupid right now. Sound like I have no clue what the fuck I'm doing. Anyway, UFC fight this weekend. Bobby Green. It's Friday. If you watch it, great. If you don't, oh well, you missed out. Don't forget to follow the podcast. Check out my other socials. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Hit like and subscribe on the buttons. Leave your comments. Tell me what you think about Jimmy Butler's new look. The James Harden trade, the state of the NBA, state of sports in general. Just leave me some comments. Let me know what you're thinking. All right, sports fans. Catch me next week. Peace.